Good day, everyone. Maazi Ezeoke once more. As usual, we do our normal thing. Those of you watching us from YouTube and those of you watching us from Facebook, it would be nice to put down your comments. If you have any question as the conversation will progress, you please go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. I'll bring your question to the screen. We do it that way. So, as you all know, we've had in the last couple of days, we've seen videos, we've seen things happening in the southern part of Nigeria, and predominantly the southeast and the south-south. And that has become a worrying trend to see the homeland being invaded. And that is the right word to use. That is an invasion. And in seeing, in saying this, one would wonder what is actually happening. To look at this today, I have here, very fantastic people that are in the struggle for the liberation of the people. I remain yours, Maazi Ezeoke, and I have here my sister, Annkio Briggs. Annkio, you can say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And I have Nze Onwuka, who is also here. So, as everyone will know, the things happening, I don't want to do all the talkings. I will allow my guest as well to, give us an insight what is happening. But before I do that, let me state the following. When we speak to people and say this is an invasion happening, some say it is not. That people are moving from point A to point B. There is a clarification that must be made, and that clarification is, if you live in Abuja and you want to go for a business in Port Harcourt, of course, as a citizen of the Federal Republic, no one will stop you. If you live in Port Harcourt and you want to go to Abuja for an appointment, of course, yes, as a citizen, no one will stop you. However, we are in a peculiar time. The peculiarity of the time is, one, there is an intrastate lockdown. Two, the movements are being restricted, that you must observe social distancing, even when you sit in keke, when you sit in a bus, in a car. Now, let me drive the point further. If someone lives in Abuja and is moving from the southeast on the south-south to Abuja, when stopped, the question will be, where are you going? I am going back to my base because I am a resident, a taxpayer in Abuja. But when you see some people migrating from the eastern part of Nigeria to Abuja without a known destination, that should worry. What I have done here is to flip the coin in order to dissuade our mind to understand the underlying problem that we actually have. And the issue here is very clear. It's an invasion. The invasion here is that we have an army of people moving from point A to point B without address of where they are going to, without any intention or non-intention of what they are going to point B to do, with no address. We don't know their health status. We have a pandemic going on. That is a call for worry. That's my submission, and that's the opening remark from me. So my sister Annkio, I have seen you, I have watched the video of the governor of your state, Nze Onwuka, whom I will gladly say that he is the only working and the only governor that is at alert in the whole of the old eastern region. Why? This morning, I had a conversation with my brother, Nze Onwuka. He said to me, when people make this movement, the question that the world want to know is, People argue that the governors do not know that this happened. Then I say, why are you getting paid? If you cannot move your backside and go to the street and understand what is happening, and you're telling me, oh, the PAs and the SAs are not telling the governor what is happening. No, it is no, how do I say that? It is no argument. There is no way someone can argue that the reason why they do not know is because they do not have information. So Wike appears to be the only one, actually, among 11 governors who understands it, the urgency of the time that we are in. Every other governor is waiting for information to be passed across to him. Well, let me yield the floor to you. I once more want to say that Wike is doing a fantastic job, and let's understand from your perspective, what do we think is actually happening from your perspective?
Okay, there is no doubt that in terms of what is going on in Nigeria today, from the issue of the pandemic of COVID-19, that Wike is the governor that have been on top of whatever is going on in terms of when Nigeria accepted or recognized that there is an issue of COVID-19, apart from Lagos State, where it was the epic center. Now, I'm not really sure whether Kano have not overtaken the epic center. I believe it was the very week, or leading up to, a few days leading up to when Nigeria actually officially declared a shutdown, when the airlines stopped flying commercially into Nigeria, and when Nigerians were no longer able to fly out. Wike had been very firm on the fact that he did not want this pandemic to come into Rivers State, after understanding, like we all did, that this is transmitted by personal contact, or by someone who already has the virus touching something, and somebody else who does not have the virus touching it. So basically, it is a very fast-moving virus. And so from that, looking at it from there, Wike has done everything humanly possible to keep it out. Now, of course, the way he has gone about it has been criticized. He had wanted to keep people out of Rivers State and keep people who are in Rivers State still inside of Rivers State, and of course that has brought a lot of slack for him. But in all of this process, I believe that our people, the electorate, you and I, our brothers and our sisters all over the southern part, from southeast to the south, to the southwest, to the Niger Delta region that is also described as the South-South. I think that our people lack appreciation of the deadliness of what we are facing, and they lack appreciation of the fact that, as painful as the call for us to stay indoors is, as painful as the fact that people are not able to generate income on a daily basis, as opposed to people who go out to work. There is a lot of things that ordinarily is working against it, because of our economic structure, our cultural structure, our religious structure, and even our political structure is working against us achieving the purpose of the lockdown. But having said that, there is no doubt that Wike from time has stood out to the government, to the APC government, as a sore thumb. So that's an ongoing thing that we in Rivers State have come to live with since 2015. Now, in Niger Delta, we have 6 governors. In the Southeast, we have 5 governors. Now, none of these governors have been able to work together as a people that are looking after their interests. Whereas states in the northern part, that is the states that consider themselves the Fulani states or the northern states minus the middle belt, have considered themselves a unit that can work together in their own interest. Now, fast forward to COVID-19. COVID-19 have created, in my analysis and in my opinion, COVID-19 have created an avenue for some governors and the system of governance in Nigeria, the federal government, to be able to do certain things that are really not constitutional, but making it to seem as if it is constitutional. The Constitution says that you and I and anybody else is free, and it is so allowed, and it should be so, to go and work in Abuja or Lagos or Abia State. Even if you're not from there, you have a right to go and work there, and you have a right to go and live there. Now, that is one thing. That does not mean that I can get up and lay claim to Abuja or Lagos or Ekiti State or Abia State and do whatever I like. It does not mean, as it is seeming now, since 2015, actually, some of us have been very worried about the movement, the growing number of people from outside the region taking over. Literally, they are in every community. They are in my community. It's a riverine community. They are fishing in the riverine communities. They are fishing in the creeks. They are fishing. They are doing the local economy. They've moved into our communities. They've done that in Imo State. They've done that in Abia State. They've done that in Umuahia. They've created markets for themselves, and they are they're laying claim to those markets in other people's land. And then, of course, the Fulani headsmen movement of taking over, destroying people's lands and things have been going on systematically without any stopping them. Now, this COVID-19 is worrisome because I believe, and a lot of people I have spoken to, and I think that's why we're gathered here today, have this concern, this very serious concern, that they are using this COVID-19 avenue to move their people in. And I think that the World Health Organization, the attention of the World Health Organization actually should be brought to this, because the World Health Organization is trying its best to contain it, to find a solution to it, to find a vaccine all over the world. And yet, in Nigeria, you have a country that claims to have locked itself down and also actually says that you are not allowed to move from Rivers State to Abia, from Abia to Owerri. You're not allowed to do that. And yet, you see truckloads of young men with their trading tools, that is motorcycles, and cattle. They're hiding with cattle, tomatoes, ginger, and they say they are bringing it to us in the south. And what they are doing is, for every cattle, there seems to be one human being. And so they are coming under the claim that this is one Nigeria, and therefore you have a right to move around. Well, this is this is Nigeria as a country. I don't know the meaning of the oneness of it, but Nigeria is a country. We all are Nigerians, and we have a right to move around. But what I object to, and I want my people to object to, and every Southerner to object to, is that that right does not allow you to move into my community, lock, stock, and barrel, and come and sit tight. And in 10 years' time, or whenever, if this country is still an ongoing project, you get up and you claim you want to be a local government chairman in my place. I believe
the point, sorry, this is a point you made. Let me play the devil advocate here.
Yeah.
If we twist that point and say, if someone migrates from the southern part to go to the north, wouldn't they make the same argument to say, well, you're going to stay, maybe you've come here to stay while you do your business. The point I'm actually looking at is the level of influx without direction. That is, you know, and it appears that no one is stopping us. Sadly, it appears I can't show my screen. What I wanted actually to drive at is that if we look at, and I want every one of us watching now to do this exercise, if you just Google map of Nigeria, because when they were stopped, some of them said they were coming from Castina. Now, Castina is at the border with Niger. That is the last state that you will see in Nigeria, right? Beneath Castina is Kano. Beneath Kano is Kaduna. And beneath, or in between Kano and Kaduna is Bauchi. Then you have the Plateau and Nasarawa. Okay, we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states before you get to Nasarawa, or you have Abuja. And this is a place they speak one language, and there is no reason not to settle in one of those areas. Then they move down to Kogi State, move down to Benue in order to get down to Enugu. And my point here is very simple. Don't we think, and that's why this podcast has been titled The Failure of the Governors. These are people who get monthly allocation in the name of security votes.
Security vote.
To secure the lives and the properties of the citizenry. But it appears they have failed, and they have failed woefully. Do we agree?
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay. So on this note, Nze Onwuka, can I have your view on this?
Thank you very much, and I would like to wish our viewers a safe stay. Be careful with where you go and what you do at this time. Now, coming back to the issues, like Mama Annkio raised, the reasons for the migration down to the south is what we do not know. But what we know is that it is not for good, because we do not need to be beating about the bush on this matter. The Southeast governors, as far as we are concerned, have failed. They have failed because, like you said earlier when you were introducing this particular point, that they have what is called the security votes for the states. And these security votes, not to expose a lot of things on air, but they are targeted and channeled towards certain things, including intel. So they cannot tell us that from the beginning of this tragic pandemic up until now, what were they doing with our monies? Isn't it their responsibility to make sure that they find out things before they start happening? And when they find out, they start taking actions. The infiltration of the Southeast and South-South and the southern regions of Nigeria, including the Southwest, did not just start this week. No, it did not start this week. Yes. And as at early last week, the organization which I head, Igbo Renaissance Forum, we put out information. We told these governors, there is trouble on the ground. Put your eyes down and see what is going on. What did they do? Practically nothing. And if you are charged with taking care of the lives of people who voted for you, then we should be able to ask you questions. When you're not doing what you're supposed to do in our best interest. You mentioned Wike, Governor Wike. He goes out himself late at night to go and monitor these border checks, and even within the main city. Our leaders, who are supposed to be servants,
are sleeping.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yeah.
You said our leaders are sleeping.
Okay. So what we are saying is that the federal government, on one hand, failed to have taken charge of these security issues. Now, but coming back home, why would the governors not take charge of what they're supposed to take charge of? Number one, do they train people who are supposed to man these borders? It is a very important question. There's a video that came out yesterday. I'm sure maybe some of us must have watched it, about a Sienna that was turned around in Onitsha.
Yes.
With press pasted all over its body. Those security people who stopped them did not ask them certain salient questions. Number one, if you pasted press all over your vehicle, can I see your ID card? Now, if you say you are press, which media are you working for? Where are you going? What is the assignment you're going to do in the Southeast at this time? And then, apart from that, they should be kept in custody, first of all, and investigated. These things were not done. You find out that a fish starts getting rotten from the head. The ball stops at the table of the governors. If they had done their due diligence, they would have put people who are the right people in those positions, train these security men to understand that there's big crisis on the ground today. Now, if you look at the people that are called Amajiri, I don't know if you saw some of the videos and pictures. Amajiri that we know are young lads, young boys, young children who walk around with plates in their hands. These are mature men who could be conscripted or even willingly go into terrorist groups.
Yes.
These are young, able-bodied men.
Yeah.
Now, to think of it, COVID-19 has been designated as a biological weapon by various authorities. Does it occur to us that a terrorist's major target is to inflict the highest number of fatalities on communities? And now, instead of having one man, you tie a bomb vest to his chest and take him into one place in Abonema, or in Enugu, or in Abakiliki, in Omuahia, or in Oka, to go and blow up himself and 30 people. No, they don't do that. They don't need to do that. Are they precluded from using COVID-19 as a biological weapon? No. They could have infect a lot of them, ferry them into the south, and then infect us en masse. That's exactly what is going on.
Now, and in line with what you're saying, we saw videos where people were washing their hands, saying Babu Corona, right? And drank the waters.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks later, there was a denial that 600 people died in Kano in one day. But eventually, the truth began to filter out that's actually true. Question is, it beats me. I'm not praying for Kano to be the epic center, but it beats me silly that with the level of uncompliance coming from that state, we still see Lagos leading up. Whereas people who do not believe and do ignore social gathering, wash their hands and drink it because there is none. And yet, these same people are the sets of people being brought down again as Nze Onwuka Oyi rightly said, the question that must bug every one of us is, what is the intention? Now, I saw the same video where a Siena written press was stopped. And 2 days ago, I had already called for, because for me, the state security police, which is the federal police, to me has failed. For the fact that a lorry, a bus, a truck would go without manifest from far north into the hinterland of the southeast and the south-south without being checked, gets to the point that you leave Benue, get into Enugu, and leave Enugu, get into Abia State, leave Abia State, and will be stopped at the boundaries between Abia and River State. My people, that is a call for worry. And people say Wike has been, initially Wike in his usual way. If you're, people could argue, well, he can be a little bit dramatic, but who cares? If it takes being dramatic to get actions, to get results, so be it. There are times gentlemanness helps you nowhere. We have to be truthful to ourselves and say things the way they are. And part of saying it the way they are is that there is, in my mind, danger in the horizon. Question, therefore, to all of us, those of us watching online, is what will be the solution? The governors, whom we have yielded our rights by a way of voting them in, or by a way of using the constitution through the instrumentality of aeroplane driving to bring them in. However that will happen, well, they are now our governors. The question here is, how can we, and what are we going to do to ensure that there is a proper border control? If people, let's not get this wrong. If someone has any genuine case to move from Katsina to River State, that person, of course, should be allowed to move. But what we have seen, I am not 1% convinced that these are genuine cases, and that is my worry. Annkio, what do you think?
Well, definitely. First of all, we should encourage ourselves to realize that the majority of the responsibility to get the governors to do what they must do lies with us, the people that have brought them in. Now, we have a constitution that really does not allow the governors to exercise the sort of powers that we now expect them to exercise, and actually should exercise if we are running a federation. So that will bring us to the point of where we have been where we've been calling for restructuring of this country. Now, after COVID-19, whether we will restructure this country or whether we will do something else will also be our responsibility. It is very important, I believe, that we, the people, very quickly begin to galvanize ourselves, to let our people see that the primary danger is not that they will not find food to eat. The primary danger is this invasion that will ultimately lead to hunger. And so what we need to call on ourselves to do and encourage the governors to do is to insist that the federal government for now have already said that there should be no interstate movement. Therefore, there should be no interstate movement. The government have said that there is a lockdown, and the state governors are using certain powers to do what works for them best within their states, and they are allowed to do that. I don't know if you recall, about 2-3 weeks ago, there was this cry against Wike because the oil companies were ferrying in oil workers. At the end of the day, what he was trying to avert actually happened, because one oil worker tested positive to the coronavirus. Yes, so that is one. Then the other thing is that the commissioner of police in Rivers State, that seemed to be working with Wike and seemed to be accepted by the people of Rivers State about 6 months or so ago when he came. Immediately this thing happened with the airline, with the helicopter company. They recalled him and brought somebody else. Now, the assistant commission, the assistant police is now giving waiver to companies or oil servicing companies or whatever to come into Rivers State or any other state if that is what they're choosing to do.
Yeah, but do they have such rights?
No, of course not. That is what I'm saying. They don't. They don't. And so Wike, by these actions that Wike is taking, he's actually putting his life on the line, because he's moving about in the night. And the reason why Wike is doing this is to show that really is not because he wants to leave his bed in the night, but that if he doesn't, this is what is happening. And you ask yourself, if this is happening now, how many nights in the past 5 years have they brought in people? And how many people have they brought in? And outside of human beings, what else have they brought in that is danger, apart from COVID-19, that is dangerous to our community and our people? And the police takes orders from Abuja. And so the governor of a state, even though the law says he is the chief security officer, means he is responsible primarily to provide security for me and my property. The governor cannot provide that security without without the federal government from Abuja okaying whatever he considers should be done in his state, because it showed up very clearly with Wike. Wike is not a fool. Wike demonstrated it by involving the police, because he is the chief security officer and the police is meant to work with him. And so when the police worked with Wike, we saw what happened. The police commissioner was recalled and somebody else was brought. It shows who has the final say. And so it is the federal government that has the final say. Today, the problem very clearly is that there is a movement, an invasion of the southern part of Nigeria. The southwest, the southeast, and the south-south is being invaded massively in broad daylight, damning the consequences because there seem to be no consequences. And so when that is going on, the people have to see what the danger is. And if they don't see what the danger is, then unfortunately, we may have to confront it. But I pray to God that with this type of information we're passing and giving to our people, that our people will begin to say, "Oh, I see," because it then becomes very clear that if we don't shut our borders, and if we don't have governors like Governor Wike. One governor was saying, "Oh, I don't have to jump into trailers. I have video cameras at my border." Hey, my brother, you have to jump into trailers, because it is not in your camera. It is inside the trailers. And we don't know what they are bringing. They say they are bringing cattle. What is under the cattle? that they have, and you know, the trailer that Wike apprehended in the middle of the night about 2-3 nights ago, the driver said he gave 1,500 naira to the security people. If you remember, last year Wike tried to set up community guards, community watch in Rivers State, and we all saw what happened. They have it in Lagos, they have it in so many other states, in Kano, they have Isba, and in so many other places. But immediately Rivers State did it. The army came in, dispersed them, and said that Governor Wike is training armed youths for the election. Well, the election is over now. He's not training armed youths, you know. So, and this is something that was passed by the State Assembly as a law in Rivers State. And I don't believe that the federal government has a right to stop a law that the state has said, the people of the state has said that this is what they want in their state. So the first thing I believe is that we must call the attention of the international community for what it is worth. We live in a world where everybody seems to be behaving themselves. We have seen what happened in America. We've seen what happened in Europe, in all the countries in Europe. And we have also seen very clearly that reports coming out of the United Kingdom, that the people who are dying the most, even amongst the frontline workers particularly, that who are dying the most are actually Asians and Black people and
Yes.
And the minorities, so to speak. So now, if that is the case, then we can see very clearly how this can affect a country like Nigeria, where we're told we're 200 million people. If God does not keep us safe, and this thing comes in, because there is no cure, so we have to rely on God. That's just the truth. And so if we don't have a cure, then we are looking at very critical times where this disease is being used as a weapon to achieve Ruga, to achieve taking over of people's land, to achieve whatever this government have planned to achieve within the first and second tenure. We have a situation where if the government plans something and there is a rise up against it, people say, no, we don't want this, they go to something else, but still aiming to achieve the thing that the first action was meant to achieve anyway. So it is our people that, I mean, you hear the governor of Imo State saying 2 days ago that he will allow Almajiris to come into his state. I mean, if this man is truly an Imo man, he doesn't wish Imo people well, you know. And so it is really, really, so when you compare that action of Hope Uzodinma, and then you compare the action of Governor Wike, I mean, which one do you think is working in the interests of the people that they are governing? You know, this is very, very serious. We need to call the attention of the World Health Organization, because if they are trying to stop this pandemic and Nigeria is doing what it is doing, it's clear that Nigeria is inviting the pandemic within Nigeria. And the WHO has to be concerned, because its people, about 40 of its people, I think in Kano or so, have tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I believe that it's very clear, it's very straightforward that we face a danger and we cannot shy away from it. We cannot be afraid to talk about it, and we cannot be afraid to say no no to it. We must look the federal government in the face, the president in the face, the vice president, the Senate, look them in the face and say, one, you cannot pass a bill so hurriedly to say on a vaccine that they have not even found, that the people who are even doing it are saying 1 year ahead before they will find it. You now want to pass a bill today to insist that people must take vaccine. Then it means that you will go and bring other vaccines. You can bring other vaccines. And if my brothers, if you recall, they brought some Chinese doctors about 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago into Nigeria. Now, there was a lot of shouting about the Chinese doctors, and then they said, oh, they have quarantined them. How do we know that they quarantined them? We didn't see them in quarantine. We didn't, there are no visuals to show us that. What is so secretive? Now that they have come out of quarantine, where are those Chinese people? And what are they doing? And how do we know that the PPEs or whatsoever they are claiming they are bringing in, that they are actually good ones and they are not infected? And the money, my brothers, the money that what's his name, Dangote has said he has given, and so many others have said they have given, the monies that is coming in from the stolen funds of Abacha, the loans they've taken from China, the what do you call it, WHO, EU, so much money has come in the past 6 weeks into Nigeria, and Nigeria still wants to borrow money. And Nigeria is now saying that that money they borrowed for COVID-19, they're actually going to use it to for the 2020 budget. This is insane.
Insanity.
This is insane. I've never heard of it anywhere in the world, even in the poorest world, where you borrow money to subsidize your budgets that you don't have. So how do you pay for it? You know, so now we have a lot of work to do, and they are getting away with it because we're not talking. Because we're not talking.
You know, I think beyond talking, there must be citizens' action in order to register their displeasure at what is happening. Because yes, you know, this morning someone told me, well, we need to get the governors involved. I said, well, many times we have gotten them involved. Sometimes you get blocked by their essays and PAs or whatever, who cares? But why should we actually sit down here unpaid, thinking for those who we pay and who we give resources to think? They get monthly security votes. They should sit down and think and proffer solutions. But here we are, proffering solutions for them that they are not even interested in listening to. What do you think we can do?
Well, first of all, I'll thank Mama Annkio for hitting the nail squarely on the head without looking at anybody's face, and that's how it should be. What we need to do now is that the governors, as far as I'm concerned, are culpable, no matter how they want to look at it. You cannot tell me that if you're a father, you see trouble aiming for your children, and then all you do is speak grammar and talk nicely and be a good man so that everybody will be clapping for you, and then your children will be endangered and end up in a fatal situation. So what we are going to do, not what we should be doing. We issued statements a few days ago, youth from the 6th geopolitical zones, on the bill, the controversial bill that they are trying to push with everything at the National Assembly. Because all these things boils down to what Maazi raised, that they are just using the bill to muzzle people and then have their way. We want to make it very clear. If you're a governor and you think the best you can do for your people at this time is to keep quiet while people infiltrate our space to do what evil that we do not have the clear information on right now, and you're supposed to be in charge of our space. We would want you to know that it is not going to be business as usual. The youth have made it very clear that it is no more business as usual. From this week, Igbo Renaissance Forum and all other organizations are coming together to start off a major campaign to mobilize our people on ground in the states that are affected to start asking serious questions from our governors. It is unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, that a lot of people, like Mama Annkio said, have failed to realize that the citizens are actually the owners of this country. And we want to remind the citizens, it is only the things that you allow that continue.
Mm-hmm.
If they will not do their work, we must remind them that they have a duty to do. Mm-hmm. They cannot always take us for granted. No, it has to stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On the 23rd of March, 2020, Igbo Renaissance Forum issued a press statement. We called for the Southeastern governors directly to apply Section 828 of the Quarantine Act because the federal government wasn't acting seriously to save the lives of our people. Igbo Renaissance Forum made that call. Apply that section of the Quarantine Act, take charge and do what you're supposed to do. What did they do? Practically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what Wike stood on and acted.
Yes.
And now we of the Southeast youths, we've made up our minds that we are not just going to be talking. The duties of a citizen is to rattle leadership to deliver results to us.
Mm-hmm.
There is no rubbing any powder on it. They have failed.
Mm-hmm.
There are records. When people make excuses with the Constitution, I point to men like Wike,
mm-hmm.
who swore on the Constitution. But the lives of your people, very, very key. Why did you go there if you will not protect the people and preserve their life and save properties? So we are saying in clear terms that the Southeast, the South-South, the Southwest, even as we speak, the Middle Belt is also being infiltrated.
Mm-hmm.
The youth of these areas have said, these regions have said, enough is enough. Maazi Ezeoke. We have taken enough of this. Now let us even go down to other issues that we should look at, where you will see that our governors have failed. When we raised issues on the 23rd of March, that Nigeria, as at that time, has had only 5 testing points in Nigeria. Now they are trying to raise the points, but still it doesn't make any sense. A population of about 200 million, how many people have we tested? Look at Ghana, how many are they? How many have they tested? We have the records to show. The Southeast governors, Igbo Renaissance Forum went on a campaign and we told them, use your security votes, to set up testing centers in each and every state of the Southeast. Would you wait until the federal government will come and set up a test center for you in Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, or Abia state? What are we using the security votes for? This is the time to use the security votes. Please bring it out and set up test centers. The only test center in the Southeast and South-South is in Abakaliki, in Ebonyi. That is not interesting at all. And we have people who call themselves leaders. Maazi Ezeoke. Interestingly, there's an Igbo parlance that says, No okorobịa emere ka ọ gbara egwu ka onye emere ka onye ala da anụnye nwanyị. Let me translate for those who will not understand. If a young man does not act like a crazy person, family members won't think of settling him down with a wife. So the governors should get ready to do their jobs, because we'll hold them accountable and we'll hold them responsible for anything that happens to anybody in those regions.
Exactly.
I would like to add here that I think in my take of it, it is very necessary that at this point we single out a man like Governor Wike, and really, I mean, everything he has done, as painful as some of them may even seem to the people of his state, of which I am one, and people who live and work in Rivers State, I believe that he has done a lot to stand firm on the platform of the law, to insist that he must be allowed to keep his people safe. Yes, I agree that people are asking for palliatives and stuff. But you see, we also need to understand that from time, we have never had the platform, the structure for these things to be effectively done at all. You know, so people who have a little bit of exposure will be shouting, oh, for London, people they queue, then they give them food, then they carry go their house and all those type of things. I mean, in a place like Bundu Waterside, whose house do you take these things to? So first, again, we need to begin to set up structures right from our homes in the communities, right in our community, in our ward level. We need to begin to set up those structures of responsibility, of looking out for our people that are not able to fend for themselves.
Yeah, sister, let me take you on that one. On a lighter note, you said there are no data too, but some people have actually argued that if we said there are no data, that NEPA actually goes in every nook and cranny, that where we think there are no data, and at the same time that when election comes, you know, those places we consider that we don't have their data, their demography, but yet polling booths suddenly appears everywhere. So isn't that a contradiction? Isn't that really, you know, people just not really driving it the way they should, actually? Because it's nothing. Everything we do now is like a war situation.
It is a war.
The COVID is that we are fighting an invisible war.
Yes.
And if we are fighting an invisible war, the old Eastern region was a region during the Biafran War, in a massive invasion, came together to develop, refine their fuel that Nigeria, after 50-something years, cannot even refine. We only, a nation like Nigeria sells its crude oil for someone to refine. So if dollar goes gaga, our petrol price gets affected because we are so idiotic in our thinking that we cannot even refine the basic thing that this tiny nation in the 60s was able to do within months. Mobilize people to, you know, get these issues refined, even used unconventional means to devise their own IEDs and whatever. So even the governors, as we speak, do not see these things, I believe, do not see as this is a war situation, and warlike decisions ought to be made.
Even this issue of the data, I'm even talking about the structure of accountability to share these things to our people. You know, not that, of course, I mean, people get to vote for them. in the deepest parts of the forest and things. So, but what I personally mean by we don't have the structure of accountability, so that anybody who does not, like for instance, if they're sharing bags of rice on my street, I'm not going to come out to stand in the queue and say I want a bag of rice, I want a tuber of yam, because I can afford it. But we don't have the responsibility, our people don't have the responsibility to say, I don't need this, so it's not for me. So we need accountability, we need the structure, so that when the food comes to our people, the people designated to share these things are not taking the lion's share just because they are the ones who are sharing it. If you don't need it, you shouldn't take it. So we need to begin to build this structure inside our communities and begin to take responsibility, because we don't know what July will be like. We don't know what December will be like. We don't even know what 2021 is going to be like. If 2020 is like this, God help us. If we're still at this point of flapping around and saying, what do we do? What do we do? This thing broke out in China. We have not even looked at the issue of the international conspiracy, even of China, the involvement of China in this thing, and how China not involved in how this thing is even coming to Africa, spreading in Africa. I said to you, those people they brought, where are they? They say they are doctors. Where are they? They may have even left. You see, Chinese people are mining gold in the north, and they were arrested, but they've been mining this gold for years. They didn't just start mining it. They were arrested, and the Minister of Solid Minerals is saying that big Nigerians, big people
behind them
are calling on him to release them.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how this country, so-called country of Nigeria, has been sold out. So I think we must begin to think along the lines and plan along the lines that small is better. That this polygamous family, this polygamous setup, marriage that we are in, I think divorce should begin to take place.
To occupy our mind.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Divorce should begin to take place, and a wife should be able to walk away with her 2 children, 3 children, and go and start afresh. God-given life, we will all survive. There is no state in Nigeria that cannot look after itself. Look at what Kogi governor did. He drove away the so-called people that came to work in his state, and I hear guns were even fired at them. You can imagine if that had happened in Rivers State.
In Rivers.
Yes, you can imagine. Yes, so these are the firm positions and decisions that we must take. For me, it is very simple. We must survive COVID-19. We must make sure that the numbers do not increase in our area. We must make sure that how do we know that these able-bodied men are not the ones that Chad told Nigeria to come and collect? How do we know? Who are these people? What is there to identify them as Nigerians? What local government do they come from? And how do we know that it may reach a time where we will begin to ask for us to conduct DNA on ourselves, so that we actually know. If you say you're from Abonima, your blood will prove that you're from Abonima. I think we will have to get to that stage, because we don't know how many we are, and we don't even know who we are. So the first thing is we must survive COVID-19. The second thing is that we must send these people back. My friend, this is not the time to be moving from one state to another looking for greener pastures because you say you're a Nigerian. You're coming in. People are jobless in Rivers State. Then 1,000, 2,000 people who are not Rivers people want to come into River State, how will you survive? How are you going to survive?
It's not even about going into River State per se. My greatest worry is going into a place, because if I leave my state of Anambra and I'm heading into Abuja or Kaduna, I have a destination. I have a purpose. So my biggest confusion here is leaving your point A, moving into point B without any known address, without any destination. You can't even communicate. I think there is one we saw in Auchi. He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Baturenchi." So if you're telling me Baturenchi and the language of communication is English, and you're telling me you cannot speak the language of communication, how do I even know you're a Nigerian?
That is
How
the point.
do I even know? Because could this be an invasion from outside Nigeria? No one is taking it serious. I mean, how would someone take it serious? You have a leadership class that deems it unnecessary to even speak to you. We have rumors. Where is the president? No one cares to address. Look at, we are talking to each other now. People are watching us online. We take questions. We beam these questions on the screen. We can ask and we can reply questions. Why can't those in the leadership do the same?
Well, they've told you. I mean, the spokesperson for the president of Nigeria, the largest, so-called largest black nation in the whole world, is telling Nigerians, 200 million Nigerians, that they are insulting the president by asking him, where is he? Where in this world? You can imagine the president of Ghana, even Benin Republic here next door, can just lie low for months when there is a pandemic raging in their country and destroying everything in its path. And then you're telling me that if you say, where is the president, that you're insulting the president. It's like a father. A father is not around. His house is on fire. Everything is burnt down. And he's still not back for 2-3 days. His children and wife is sleeping outside. And then when you say, where is daddy? Then they say you're insulting your father by asking, where is daddy? So who is responsible? If the father is not available and the mother is helpless, who then is responsible? And yet you will not allow the states to take responsibilities. If the states are allowed to take responsibility, nothing will stop a state governor like Governor Wike to reach out to other countries, maybe to America, to whatever, to even use our oil to trade for things that we need. Because that is how Lagos and Abuja was built with Julius Berger. They took our oil and developed their region. You know, so this just is something that gives us an opportunity to continue to press forward of the fact that there must be changes. And if you are from River State, you're from any of your states, and you do not see anything wrong with how this government is running the country, with the negativity that how it affects you in your state, then you don't love your state. You don't even love yourself. Because if you do not fight for your survival at this time of COVID-19 that can kill people in their thousands, when are you going to fight for your people? When are you going to fight for your state? And how are you going to how are you people going to survive? This is really worrisome.
Don't you think that this, the COVID, the aftermath, the invasion, the consequences, don't you think it offers the old Eastern region the opportunity to begin to speak to each other and work towards a common goal and a common purpose?
Definitely. You see, unfortunately for us, the first reality we have to face is that if we're talking about the old Eastern region, we are talking about it first from the position of sentiments, because there was an old Eastern region. Now, within that old Eastern region, the sort of discussion we should be having today, we didn't have it at that time, because the structure of governance at the time where we had Eastern region is a different structure of governance today. Today we have states, that the states are now 5 states for the out of the old Eastern region, and 6 states out of the old Eastern region. That is today South-South geopolitical zone. And we have 6 geopolitical zones in the 2 South, 1 North, 1. So we have 3 on each side, yet we have more states in the North than we have in the South. So already there is that debalance. Now, when you look at the Southeast and the way that the states are carved out, you have to pass through one state to get to the other. So we have this issue of watching each other's back. It's a responsibility, actually, because if I am not careful who is leaving my state to enter Abia, and Abia is not careful who is leaving Abia to enter Rivers State, we're both at risk. So at that, yes,
because
we're both at risk.
Stop in between.
Yes, so at that point, I agree totally that there is a need for us to watch each other's back. But we must not confuse that need, that desire, and that discussion as to mean that it is now a fused system.
Or a political union.
Yes, or a political union. Thank you. I think that's even a better description. Or a political union, because already we have a political, geopolitical zone. And so, but nothing stops the people of Igbo nation of 5 states and the people of Niger Delta states of 6 states that are so close together, whichever way you look at it, we surround ourselves. We're our own first point of security. So the first thing we should look at as a people, as indigenous Igbo people, as indigenous as indigenous Igbo people, indigenous Ikwere people, indigenous Shekiri Urobo, and all these things, the first thing we must look at is how do we help ourselves. And so once we look at that, the first thing is security. Once we are able to discuss security, we discuss our intertrade, we discuss our food supply, and then we discuss our development. And then the development now, education, all those things come under it. And so once we're able to watch out for each other, then the trust, we begin to build trust. But right now, what is happening is the Yorubas, after 100 years of amalgamation, for whatever reason, the Yorubas have had their feel with certain people and the way governance is run. The Igbo are in the same position. The Middle Belt are in the same position. The people of the Niger Delta, which have a lot more ethnic nationalities within the Niger Delta, are in the same position. And so, but what we do have in common is this one thing that we consider the one enemy is what we have in common. And so we have to decide by discussing what is going to work for us. There is very serious distrust and mistrust amongst the governors and amongst we, the people that they govern. And so this is what the enemy is feasting into, this distrust and this difficulty we have in discussing our common interest.
Okay, so you see, what I was actually driving at is, now we have this issue, we have this collective threat, because it bothers me, and honestly, it bothers me that Wike would be, because after Rivers, you're heading nowhere. You just get into Atlantic Ocean.
That is the Atlantic Ocean they want now.
Exactly. So, and we've offered them to pipe the water,
the salt water.
Somewhere we pipe oil. So if we can refine oil, we can refine water, as well.
Exactly.
Anyway. So if I look at it this way, what bothers me actually is, it's if Enugu State doesn't take what is happening serious, if Abia State doesn't take what is happening serious, is that when they leave, when you think they are going to use your state as a bypass state, do you know if they stayed back or if they moved? So it should concern everyone, because this is a security threat. And in matters like this, you know, differences should be buried and survival should be paramount.
Absolutely.
Because it's about our collective survival. There is no mincing word, there is no painting it, there is no ironing it. It is about our collective survival. One will only stay alive with the cooperation of the other.
Yes.
If not, I mean, you could be overrun. Nze Onwuka, I can't see your screen, but it appears you are on audio.
Me too.
So you can go ahead. It appears your audio works, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Video. He's not on video.
He's not on video, but his audio works. Go ahead.
Okay.
I can see everybody from my end here.
Are you serious? Okay.
Oh, he's logged out anyway. He's gonna be back again. I'll bring him in.
Okay. Okay.
So let's we have some questions coming on stream.
Okay.
And one of these questions, I think the other one, probably, okay, let me see if I can go back to, oh, he's back. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, good. We can see you now.
Thank you very much. The issue with synergy, like Annkio said, is very important. First of all, I'm happy she identified that we need to look at it from the angle of working together for a common goal, rather than forming a political union like you mentioned, so that we not start misconstruing it with
exactly. Thank you.
Because sorry to interject here. Yeah. I know many people watching, and we are being very careful here, because this is about it's sensitive issues, so that people who do not understand the context of what we are discussing will be thinking, oh, what are these people talking about? Now, like he said, it's about that we know there are differences. We know that. We are aware, and we are aware of that. Now, in all the differences that we know that exist, what is common here is there is a common interest. And that common interest is survival and the well-being of our people. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So, Onwuka, go ahead.
Yeah, so having said, it's very important to understand that the governors, I'll still go back to the governors. In the Southeast, how fluid and how smooth is the working of the Southeast Governors Forum as we speak? How fluid is their working relationship in the Southeast? Because like it is said, you know what, if you're wearing a bangle, you don't need a mirror to see it. We saw the incohesion at the point we were talking about setting up a security structure for the Southeast. It was from one talk today to the other. It doesn't show amongst them. So first thing first is to put our house in order in the Southeast. I think that is the direction people like me and my organization are looking at going first. If we want to build a synergy with the our brothers and sisters in the Niger Delta states, we must first of all have a platform that we'll be going with. Are they going to go as individual states?
Mm-hmm.
It baffles me. So what I think we should do first of all is to make sure that these governors in the Southeast are together, knowing what they are supposed to be delivering to their people. And then they can have a format of what they are going to be discussing with the people from the other side on the arrangement for the common goal to be met. But if we have a situation like we have now, where they do not even know the direction they want to face, and they call them to a synergy table with the people from what they call the South-South, what are they going to be discussing? So yes, I believe that it is imperative that we must have that discussion and have it now. Have that understanding and have it now. Build that working relationship and build it now.
Yeah.
But we must also know that those who are going to build it know exactly what they are going to build, or else they will build something else that we did not agree to build on.
Ask them. Yeah.
Yeah. So first things first, what are we agreeing on discussing with the people from the Niger Delta states?
Okay.
That's the discussion with the governors of the Southeast states, because that is where my concern is more, because that is where things are happening, and as it is now, we are looking a bit confused.
Let me say that, I mean, because we already have the structure of states, we discuss from that structure, each state, because the Southeast, luckily, is all one people, Ndibu.
Yeah.
The Southwest is all one people, Yoruba people. They understand each other despite the dialects. But in the Niger Delta, is a little bit difficult, but it would take a lot of determination,
and
which we can, yes.
It's also surmountable.
Yes, for us to very quickly see the danger. It is the danger that will propel us, because in the Niger Delta, you cannot deny that an Urobo man is a distinct ethnic nationality. An Ijaw man, an Ikwere man. Let me take my state, for instance, Rivers State. In Rivers State, you have Ijaw people. You have Ikwere people, Ogoni people, Ekpeye people, Egi people. Some are big, some are small, but all of them are distinct ethnic nationalities, indigenous people indigenous to Rivers State. They've always been there. So tomorrow, if you change the name of Rivers State, they will still be there. You know, unless if you carve them out into some other place, which the federal government does all the time, and creating more and more problems for us, because they balkanize our peoples wherever they are. But it was not too easy for them to balkanize themselves, but they balkanize other people with the 99 constitution and whatever. So I would want to believe that it would be easier knowing my state, knowing my region, and the people that we have. I don't know, Maazi and my brother, you must know about Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki. Well, I mean, that's somebody, I admire his zeal. I love what he's doing, but he does not mince words. He's from the Niger Delta. For now, he's from the Niger Delta. But he's not mincing, yes, he's not mincing words, because Niger Delta is a geographical description of a place. A delta is a place that you cannot take it away. It's a delta.
Yes.
And the only difference is that our delta here in Nigeria, which belongs to us when we finally take hold back of it again, is called Niger Delta because it is in the Niger area. the recognized Niger area. Now, the issue of, say, Biafra. Now, Biafra is a word. In geography, when I was in school in the 50s, it was the bite of Biafra. Now, today, after the war, just so that the sentiments of Biafra was taken out of people's head and psyche, Gowon changed the name on the map from bite of Biafra to bite of Bonny. So basically today, the map of Nigeria does not have the bite of Biafra on it, which was originally where that name came from anyhow. You know, so if we're going to discuss our survival, we must discuss it on the indigenous level.
On the indigenous level, yes.
Yes, you must discuss the survival of a people
but
on the indigenous level.
Yes, but
it is when it is when you discuss it, because let me explain to you why. You see, in Delta states, we have Ijaw people. We are indigenous people. In Rivers State, we have Ijaw people. In Akwa Ibom, we have Ijaw people. In Edo, in Ondo, we have Ijaw people. But we are the same people of Ijaw, but we are in different states. So already we're balkanized into 3 or 4 states within the Niger Delta.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why it is very critical that we discuss our survival from first the level of the indigenous nationalities. Then when you do that, the Ijaw man is able to, in Delta, secure his safety and his own, hold on to his property in Delta State, in Rivers State, and so on. Once you do that, and the Ijaw man is confident of his survival, of his ethnicity, he is now able to fight for the confidence and survival of the state where he belongs, whether that state is Rivers State or Delta State. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So on that note, I would come in with a question here from Dave Obudu. He said, and that question is referred to you, sister. And,
okay.
And he said that Annkio Briggs needs to define her geographical knowledge of South against Niger Delta geographical zone and explain her fears of melting geopolitical alliance with nations of peculiar value system.
There is no confusion for me. I was in my primary school days, there was no independence. So I know the curriculum and what I studied, what they taught us in school at that time before independence. So my geographical area as an Ijaw person of Kalabari clan in what is today Rivers State, don't forget, when I was growing up in Abonima of what is today Rivers State, we didn't have Rivers State before independence. We were in Degema province of Eastern region when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was filling a form in those days, what I saw was tribe. What is your tribe? And the tribe I put in was Ijaw. And within my Ijaw tribe, we have clans. And my clan is Kalabari. You know, so when people look at my color, perhaps, it deceives them. And I am more Nigerian than some people who have a darker skin tone than I do. And I understand a lot more of my history than they think that I do. I speak Igbo fluently. My father's mother is Igbo. She's from Arochukwu. I speak Igbo very fluently. But that does not mean that I will now stand up and come and start saying that I want to fight an Igbo cause. I will support. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that I have my roots. Nobody can deny me the fact that I have a grandmother that is from Arochukwu. Is a fact. That I have a father who is an Ijaw man. and that is who I am, and my mother is British. Now, the difference between whether it is South or Niger Delta is not my creation. I didn't create the geopolitical zone.
Those are artificial creation.
Those are artificial creation. And so if we are identified today in the political system and structure and revenue sharing, or whatever they call it, and they say, I am South-South, am I now going to be the only person that every day I get up and be shouting, I'm not South-South? No, I will not. But in my mind, I describe myself, I describe myself as an Ijaw woman from Rivers State of Kalabari clan in Niger Delta region. Whether they like it or not, Niger Delta is a region. Just the same way Southeast is a political region. Tomorrow you can, tomorrow, if the constitution allows it, you can change it. You cannot change it. No matter how painful it is, Igbo people today cannot one day get up and say to federal government, don't call us Southeast geopolitical zone. It cannot happen. The only way it can happen is by the constitution. And so for people to constantly be asking me of history, people who were born after me, to be asking me about my history, to explain what my history means to me, it shows very clearly that they themselves don't know. Because if they know, the question will never arise. Now, the South-South is something that was created by Abacha. Now, how does that then mean that I am a slave to Fulani people? I don't care who created it. That is what it is in the constitution today. Now, the issue of Niger Delta, I have said it before, Niger Delta is a region, is a description of a place. I grew up in the creeks, and that is what that place is. And the area where that place covers is the Niger area. Tomorrow, we can choose, when we're out of the clutches of whatever, we can choose to rename it if we so desire. But it is not what it is called. It is what is in my heart that is important.
Yeah, thank you very much. It means that we're not digressing here, people, but these are part of the things and discussions to help us get to where we are going. Because without laying this to bear, you can see that when we begin to unpack this, it's going to, if cat's not taken, some people will start, saying things that they ought not to. Now, we have a region, we have a people. We also know that as it is today, we have a crisis. What is of paramount importance is, one, is we have to situate issues the way they are. One is a long-term project, to define a direction. One is a security threat that is staring us in the face as we speak. Trailers on Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway, some are parked somewhere waiting for the dark of night to come for them to proceed. Some are loading somewhere. The collective threat to us is, how do we begin to come together as a people? As Annkio said, maybe because of the structure that exists today, which is states, and it is where the powers are derived from, where the resources are derived from, the security votes are derived from. Therefore, and the leadership actually is derived from as well. Therefore, it will make sense, rather than in the middle of crisis, to begin to talk of, which structure shall we use? You have an existing structure.
Thank you.
If the structure is Enugu, we need to get in conversation this evening, secure your border. Abia, secure your border. I mean, the problem is half solved.
Yes.
But when you begin to look at nomenclatures of names that you if I want to even drive this further, I can actually say, someone was making a comment here, the Igbos in Niger, the Igbos in Delta, there are Igbos in River State. Of course, like she said, an Ijaw man in Ogun State remains an Ijaw person. An Ijaw person in River State, an Ijaw person in Edo State remains an Ijaw person. Likewise, an Igbo person. If you want to deny your Igbo-ness, you are in Rivers and you say you are not Igbo, of course no one is going to force you to be Igbo. It's your choice. If you are an Igbo and you're in Delta and you say you are not Igbo, of course you are not Igbo. It's your choice. But if you want to identify that you are Igbo, of course you can go ahead and do that. Irrespective of what you are, what is staring us in the face is a collective danger that we should suppress all manner of unnecessary conversation and think as a people, how do we deal with this or we perish while you fight for mundane things that add no value to your security. So, Nze Onwuka, what do you have to say?
Yes, as far as I am concerned, as it is said, if it hits the nose, it hits the eyes will start also shedding tears. So when it hits the nose, it has hit the eyes. So if it is hitting the South as they call it, or the Niger Delta as some will choose to call it, or the nation in the region, or the Urobo nation, or the Igbo nation, it's our people. That is how I always want to classify it. It is our people that are affected. And what we need to do is the most important thing, and not the nomenclature or the appendage that is given to it. Yes. You know, so the focus now is that firstly, the governors of the Southeast must put their houses in order. Anambra, Abia, and Imo. Mama Annkio mentioned what is insinuated to have been said by Governor Hope Uzodimma. Well, we wish him luck, but we are telling him that we will not have such people in our land. You know, at this time that things are not well, you want to import people who not vouch for their health status and their security status. We will resist that. We've said that severally. We will not allow that to happen. Nobody will allow such things to happen at this time. Now, significantly, let us also look at this issue. Why would government want to shut down the Quarantine Act at this time? Is that a priority? If they had given the kind of attention they gave to the shutting down of the Quarantine Act and given monster powers to the NCDC chairman and the Minister for Health, I think we would have gone a long way in taking care of COVID-19. You see all effort, you see the House of Representatives, the way they are gingered and they are pushing to get this thing knocked off. And then I ask myself, why is it that 37 billion was budgeted to renovate the National Assembly? Why haven't they shown this kind of zeal and vigor in talking about using the 37 billion to boost the fight against COVID-19? You see, the citizens, when we allow these things, they use us.
And it will keep happening.
It will keep happening. So
it will keep happening.
The National Assembly is all meeting and using our monies to sit in committees and talk about how to generate funds and how to help fight COVID-19. When there's a 37 billion sitting somewhere waiting to just renovate a building or set of buildings in the National Assembly.
Here we are. Sorry, I'm not taking this from me. Here we are. You see, maybe, you know, this broadcast, everyone watching, share this. People must know what is happening, get angry and get involved. Listen, you have not heard all these state assemblies, not one, in the 11 states, not one of them has raised any motion, not one of them has, have you heard? I've not heard, I've not read anything, aside the one that we see. We have 9 governors for Christ's sake. Aside Nwike, aside Nze Onwuka, we have not seen any other person being on the street. Deny yourself your sleep, 2 hours, 3 hours, be on the street, see things for stand for yourself. Someone tells me he mounts the camera. He mounts a camera. Does their camera have night imaging to know temperature if human beings or cows are in those trailers? How can we be talking as people with no sense? Go on the street, stop these people. Look, in Anambra State, this press vehicle was stopped. They said, "Where are you going?" None of those there could say anything. None of those could identify themselves as a journalist. Now, this person was told, turn back. For me, that is a fundamental security flaw.
Yes.
That vehicle should have been impounded. You should have identified who are those in this vehicle. What were their mission? You can't just send them back for what? Send them back for what? And you listen to these things happening and you say in the, that shows you clearly example of what is happening in Anambra State. Remember, this is because someone videoed it, because we saw it.
Yes.
Now, that is one out of 2,000.
Maazi Ezeoke, sorry. You see, while they are showing us people that came through the conventional borders,
yes,
what about the other Appian ways into the states?
Exactly.
We don't know. We don't know.
We only see the third routes. There are other untarred routes that traffic use.
The footpaths.
Yes. Because these guys know police are here, they could actually disembark and walk, bypass them.
And you have a mission, Maazi Ezeoke, Annkio Briggs, and those people watching. Somebody who left Kano or Katsina or wherever and drove all the way down to River Niger and you turn him back. You think he's going back?
Yes. That is actually senseless thing that is happening.
So you see, we need to understand what we are up against. And our Southeast governors, whether they like it or not, they are working for us. They are supposed to be our servants. You see, a lot of people will tell you that you need to be diplomatic the way you say it. I don't know why we need to tell somebody diplomatically that your house is on fire. A house you're sitting in.
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know.
So those people who give that advice that we need to watch how we tell them, I think those people are also compromised in certain ways.
Very much.
You said it before, you heard me saying it in any way that you think is not right. They have failed. There's no need being sentimental about it. What they need to do is to sit up and do what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to start arguing whether it is said the right way or the wrong way. The reason you went there in the first place was to deliver to the people. And we expect those things to be delivered to us. And one of them, the most important, is the safety of our lives.
Yes. Yeah.
Post-COVID-19, by the time you know it, our population and demography would have been changed.
Will change.
Yes.
Will change, and it's not.
But that is the aim. That is the aim.
Listen, it's not even changing for the better.
That
because
is the aim.
The thing is, we are not. This is not entrepreneurs. These are not people, investors. These are not investment who are coming to open shops.
No, I don't even want to look at the issue of those who say they must be taken or not taken. I'm worried about those who are not doing anything while they are infiltrating our zone. Those are the ones I'm worried about, not the people and what they say. That's not part of our concern. If the governors are setting up donation accounts where people should go and donate money so that they can fight COVID-19, my question is, how much does it cost to set up a test center?
No one is interested because everyone is suddenly becoming stupid that they want to wait for the federal government to do it. Somehow our brain has left us, has gone on holiday.
Maazi Ezeoke, let me cut you short. If the people who are supposed to ask questions are quiet, the people who are not delivering will continue. And that is why we are saying enough of the docility from the masses. We have kept quiet for so long. You blow one on our taxes, and you do not do anything.
When you allow it, because we allow it to continue.
Nobody is delivering to us as expected. So if you don't want to be there, please kindly resign. Say, I cannot deliver. I cannot do it. It is not a crime. In developed countries, people look at their capabilities. They look at the situation on ground. They're overwhelmed. they call their people, please, I can't continue. Can we get somebody that can take over and move the ship forward? But you can't sit there, do nothing, and then for us, I blame the masses, I blame the citizens, I do not blame them. It is what we allow
that happens. That's my sentiment exactly.
So we have said enough is enough. And from this week, we are going to embark on a lot of activities, and we are telling them, you must deliver, or please give us space. Let those who are willing to deliver come and do the job.
There is no two ways about it. There is no two ways about it.
If you don't have ideas, why do you have people around you? If the people around you doesn't have ideas, sack them. Get people with ideas. Must they be chairwomas? SAPA, this, that, big names with doctorate degrees and all those things, and yet things are not being done. Take them out, bring those people who can deliver. It is not their father's birthright to be PASA or whatever post you have given them as a governor. It is not their father's birthright. It is not their birthright. If they can't deliver, let them leave them of the position and bring in somebody who can deliver. Simple. Now, if they do not deliver, we put it on your table as the governor. You have failed because you employed people who cannot deliver. It is simple. Bring in those who can deliver. Ease out those who are not delivering as it is, because as far as I'm concerned, whoever is working on the security structure for the Southeast governors is not delivering. If they are delivering, they won't be sleeping while people are infiltrating our land.
It is really
no.
Sorry, this sister is saying something. Go ahead, sister.
I'm saying that, Nze, I'm saying that it is really sad that what we are discussing today have been going on since 2015.
Exactly.
It's not as if it started with COVID-19, this invasion. It didn't start with COVID-19. I know that I personally have been saying it, and I also know that anytime I have raised it at any fora publicly, because me, I don't know how to talk with water in my mouth. If whatever I'm saying here now, just be assured that I would have said it before, and if I have not, then I will say it again publicly. So there is nothing to hide. You see, when I began to notice the influx, the number of people that were coming into Rivers State and places like Bayelsa State and Delta State and Akwa Ibom, where I'm able to frequent regularly because of the type of work that I do, I kept expressing very serious concern that where there used to be 10 people, 15 people changing dollar at a particular spot in Port Harcourt in Rivers State opposite the presidential, you were now seeing hundreds of people. And I was asking, Biagodi, how many people are buying dollars? How many people are buying the dollars from hundreds of people? How many people are buying this dollar? But when I talk, they say, oh, Annkio Briggs, Adiala, you know. But the reality is that when you don't talk, it gives it gives out the impression that either you are afraid, or you're ignorant, or you don't care. Yeah, and any of those three works in the favor of the person who is doing whatever he thinks that he is doing. You have a situation where the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Welfare or whatever is still claiming that every Nigerian is receiving or has received 20 or how many thousand naira per month. And you see the way that rice was carted to Kano State in trucks, hundreds of trucks. And yet, Governor Wike was instructed to drive to Calabar and pick up rice that has been in custom bonded house for at least 5 years or more that the customs say that they seized, that Wike should drive. And so Wike said, how hungry is my state and how poor is my government that we will not be able to buy good rice and give to my people, and I have to send vehicle to Calabar to go and collect rotten rice for my people. I won't do it. And people say, oh, Wike is stubborn. Wike is fighting federal government. Nobody is fighting federal government. Nobody is interested in fighting federal government. What we're interested in is justice and equity. That is what we're interested in. We have always said we never wanted a presidency issue to come to Niger Delta. That was not what our struggle in 1998 when the Ijaw Youth Council started before Abacha died. That was not our struggle. Our struggle was resource control and self-determination. That was the struggle. But it is to counter that call for resource control and self-determination that Obasanjo, when it got to his turn, Obasanjo set up NDDC. It was from the fight and the struggle and the people of Ijaw ethnic nationality that they killed, that were giving them problems, that led to the creation of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Now, Niger Delta Development Commission should have just remained as UNPADEC, because what it is just 9 states that are oil producing. So to change the name and say that Niger Delta is 9 states is even wrong, and it creates friction against within and against ourselves, because you have Ondo State that is oil producing, you have Abia and Imo that is oil producing. Ondo is southwest, Abia and Imo is southeast, Niger Delta is south-south. You bring 3 extra and put. Why didn't you take the Niger Delta and put it in southeast then? And you know, so it doesn't make sense that we have allowed a lot of things to have happened. We never wanted a situation where we were talking about a presidency of Nigeria. What we wanted was self-determination. And they knew that if we continued on that self-determination, that it was going to create problems. So they brought NDDC. And of course, all our people have been so impoverished, both developmentally, economically, and politically, that any little thing seems like a big thing. And so instead of even seeing the presidency as something that is not primarily something that is specially for Niger Delta, is the president of Nigeria, is not president of Niger Delta. And the things that people were expecting could not have happened. You know, he cannot on his own sit down and change the constitution. People say, hey, you didn't say George Jonathan should do this when he was there. Why will I say what I know is not possible? I'm not stupid, man. Why will I say Jonathan should do what he cannot do without going to National Assembly? Why would I say so? But now we have a president that is doing what is unconstitutional and illegal, unlawful, and yet we are complaining. So now what do we want? We complained that Jonathan did not do illegal things and unlawful things.
Exactly.
We complained. People complained. I'm not among the people that complained. Jonathan wanted to bring down, to remove fuel subsidy. And we saw what they did to Jonathan because of that fuel subsidy thing. And today, even the president says that there is nothing like fuel subsidy that is corruption. But today they are paying more in fuel subsidy than Jonathan could have ever dreamt of paying.
They call it bridging. Is it bridging money or whatever? Bridging whatever. I mean, it's just the nomenclature. It's. Listen, so, people. It's been nice. You know, what we are saying here is very simple. we hold government to account, we must as well look ourselves in the mirror and actually be truthful to ourselves. We must hold government to account, but we cannot hold government to account by collecting 100, 1,000, 5,000 naira from government when they come for election.
Mm-hmm.
And we collect these monies, we vote. We now go back and say, oh, we need to do this for us. When we collect this money, we've sold our rights. But be that as it may, it behoves on us. That's why we are here spending our time speaking to the world and for the world to hear our voice that what is happening is not right. As my sister said, it's not only about sensitizing the people. That's part one. What we are doing is to discuss this, sensitize the people. Now probably take the next step, take action, engage the international community. This is happening. This is, by the time the COVID is over, we will be, you might wake up one day and discover that your community no longer, the configuration of your community has been redesigned.
Yes.
It's no longer the way you knew it.
By this movement of claiming to be a Nigerian, therefore I can go anywhere. That's the plan.
So, and this is, this is something that we think, I don't know. I know many times here, I know those in the authority, I know the governors are watching, I know the senators, please, you people, take this offline. You must talk to each other. I am so disappointed that the Southeast and the South-South Governors Forum never for once, a people of common destiny never for once sit together to even discuss, if not the barest minimum, the security of the region. Because without security, there is nothing. You can't even talk about development. Within security, everything is stagnated. So the security of this region is paramount. And this security of this region, is something that must be dealt with. Sister, do you have anything to add on this?
Well, I mean, just I'm sure we're rounding up. Rounding up now, and really, just as a conclusion, the key thing is to hammer on the fact that COVID-19 is a deadly instrument. We know where it came from, and from where it came, I don't even trust them. That is the Chinese people. I don't trust China. So when we are now confronted with a group like the Chinese people who are in the process of colonizing the whole of Africa, we have to, as a people, use this opportunity to regroup, regather ourselves. And we know what we want. It's not even an issue of let us go and sit down and discuss what we want. We know what we want. Now, how are we going to go about it? The people to work with is the governors, whether we like it or not, because they are the ones we have given political power to exercise on our behalf. But I also say that all the faults that they have put together, we still have to work with them, because the Constitution says we have to work with them. So, and once we decide to work with them, they themselves will be a little bit more, if not a lot more, empowered to stand up and speak on our behalf. There is no doubt that they have made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of them who realize that mistakes have been made are looking for opportunity to be able to begin to do the right thing.
Corrections, yeah.
Yes. And so if that is what we must do, all of us have made mistakes somewhere along the line. We are also responsible somehow, one way or the other, with our docility and our fear and everything. So once we say this is what we want, do we want internal self-determination? Do we want to have a census, for instance? Do we want to have a referendum, for instance? We have to make a decision on what is it that we can do that will change the course of history. We can't continue. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue where these resources is still being carted away. One man is building the largest refinery in Lagos, and the oil he wants to the oil he wants to refine is in my backyard, and he's building the okay. Look at that video of Dangote with the Indians that he brought in to work for him. I mean, these are laborers. I'm not looking down on, but they are laborers. Are you saying that there are no Nigerians that can do that job? Or is it that you're saying that Nigerians think that they are too big to do those jobs, that he went and imported Indians in their thousands, and they are now complaining and calling to their government to help them? It was COVID-19 that brought that up. Otherwise, we would not have known. You know, so one man alone has all full authority to import cement, to import, to make spaghetti, to make tomato ketchup, to do this. Look, this is no longer good enough. If Igbo people are going to eat tomato ketchup, it should be made in Igbo land. If we're going to eat cow, then we should breed the cow in our land. Why must we have cattle that has to walk or transported from Jos or Sokoto or anywhere? Why?
You're even going far. You have the Niger deltas, where the oil comes from. The lands are polluted, yet the headquarters of the oil companies where you get those monies are outside the same region. I mean, it has to come to a point that these things must be demanded, that we must have a change of course, unless we are willing and ready to continue in this mess for long. We must.
And you see, another thing, my brother, is that we must also have the boldness. We, everybody must have the boldness to call out our people who are part of the system that is so oppressing us and still want to remain in that system and want to oppress us. They are not representing us. I don't care what appointment you have. I don't care how close you are to the president. If you are not representing us as a people, we should begin to shame them. When they come home, we should boo them. Look, these are some of the actions. You're not going to beat them up, for crying out loud. You're not going to beat them up, but you have to make them feel like they are lepers. They have to feel that they are lepers. We have to make them feel that they are not welcome, because they're not part of us. They're not welcome.
Part of the enlightenment campaign that we are doing here is to liberate the mind, because
of our people.
We must begin to say no to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that steals the money meant for us collectively and comes in and gives you chicken, just peanut, then you worship him. All we hear day in day and then night is honorable this, honorable that. What are they honorable? Honorable in doing what? Honorable
They're dishonorable,
in running you away from the street. Honorable in running you away from the street, from the road. That you are driving, someone is blaring siren, just driving you away while you're on the street. Come on, there must be a way. There must be, we have to liberate ourselves and start thinking that collectively we can look someone in the face and say, no, enough is enough. We don't need your money. Enough is enough. We have to.
No, it's our money. It's our money. It's not even their money. It's our money.
And they give you peanuts, and you just The other day, I shared a picture of someone actually giving our mothers tubers of yam, and asked them to raise their hands with that yam.
I saw it. I saw your post.
You say, how can they reduce our mothers to this level? One tuber of yam that is probably 150 naira. Anyway, we are rounding up now. So your last and parting word, Onwuka.
Yes, I would like to encourage our people to stay strong and stay focused, stay vigilant and stay strong. Within the communities, we would want you to get ready, put yourselves together, set up your own independent watch groups because nobody is watching you. Let that sink in very well. Those you have elected to protect you are not doing their jobs. So while we are prodding them to do their jobs, we advise and encourage the communities to make sure that they put themselves together, like some youths in Enugu State did in the Soka area. They were even the ones who are the borders, making sure that when these people manage to escape the police checkpoints, the youths will arrest them and take them back.
Yeah.
So the communities must be up and doing at this time. All hands must be on deck. We must make sure that we do not allow our porous borders to bring in problems and create a lot of crises on our land. At this time, we should not wait for the governors. We should do our thing legally. Very important. We must make sure that we legally do whatever we want to do to secure ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your last word. My sister Annkio Briggs, your last word then.
Well, first of all, we must all follow the protocol, and our people that are guarding the borders, we should also be very careful the interaction you have with these people, because definitely some of them are carriers of this COVID-19. And again, let us really encourage the people that are doing their best. And in this instance, I would say that Wike has really tried, and the other governors should bold up, should courage up, should be men, you know, and not always pretend as if they are more polished and more sensible than other people. We are in a war, my brothers. This is a war. I was in the Biafran war. This is no different from the Biafran war. This is a war.
Thank you very much. So for many of you who are watching us, you know, the question here remains, we are under threat. Our collective effort is required here for us to stay alive and to stay well. There was a video and there was a report we saw people being deported from Kano, from Nasarawa to Kano, who came into Nasarawa. Question is, if it was that easy, it's the same region, the same geographical space, why did they send them back? And when the test was conducted, it's, you know, according to the report, about 80% of them were COVID-19 positive. Now, bear that in mind. If that becomes the issue, what then happens? Are we aware of those, the status of those coming within your region? If this could happen to Nasarawa State, what do you think will be the fate of your state? On this note, I will say thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, my sister Annkio, and thank you, Onwuka, for being part of the program. Every viewer out there, we will keep on, as long as the Lord tallies, we will keep on looking at the issues, saying them the way it is. We are not afraid to say the truth. No matter whose house is God, we say it in order for us to take corrections and in order for us to stay alive. Thank you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everyone.